Live from South Carolina, it's Hit or Miss with Night Strike.
There we go. Hey, we need to do that every night then.
I told you, John, you're Ed
Please,
McMahon.
No, we're not going to do that every night, but we are going to make Smeggy sing because that's his thing.
That's how I earn my quarter.
Yeah. But welcome all to Hit or Miss. I don't need to introduce myself. I've already been introduced, but tonight I'm going to introduce my panels before we get into anything. So, Brandon, hey, what's up?
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
All right. Then we got Heavy B.
Who I think is still muted because he's doing dishes.
He's
Yeah,
behind it.
I'm here. Thanks for showing up. Hey, thanks for having me. I'm muting myself again.
He's behind enemy lines. And then we have, deep in the heart of Texas, we have Sean.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Right. And then I have no idea where you are, Smeg, so just tell us where you're from.
Where are you at this week?
Currently, at this moment in time, I am in Detroit, Michigan.
All right.
Or just outside. How technical you want to be.
I thought it was Flint, but we're always joking about Flint, but
No. I'm about half hour away from Flint.
all right. And then, from the Pineapple Pentagon, we have Hawaii Volcano Squad.
Broadcasting from the biggest rock in the Pacific Ocean.
Yep. All right. Tonight we're going to go all over the map tonight. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but Sean is prepared to talk about shit. Heavy B is prepared to complain about shit. And Smeggy has, a piece he wants to talk about on how to deal with anti-gunners.
Well, I don't know if it's how to deal with them. I just wanted to laugh at this guy.
Oh, okay. Well, he's going to make fun of somebody, so we'll do that too. But we'll probably go over the whole Clinton email thing. We'll probably go over just everything. So let's get started. Smegs, you're up.
All right. I just put a link out there in the chat to this article. The title of it. Pull this up real quick. So, California is tired of waiting on gun control, so we made our own. And it starts out basically bitching about, why there's no federal gun laws, and they blame the NRA and say Congress isn't doing its job because it's, sucking on the teat of the NRA and all this crap, which doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. And oh shoot, I'm trying to find where was the good shit. So they talk about California, and they're like, yeah, they push through a broad spectrum of gun control legislation. What kinds of weapons, who can own them.
Oh yeah,
blah, blah,
I
blah.
saw that. That was messed up. I saw that article on Yahoo.
Yeah, there's a couple of quotes in here that just,
That just pissed me off.
drive me crazy. The first thing they mention is, the state's legislation includes measures like the gun violence restraining order, which, for one, that's one of the ones that was, because that's not one of the ones they passed, and then they go on to explain what it means, which allows law enforcement to confiscate weapons from people who are a threat to themselves or others, like, say, the abusive partners who commit the vast majority of this country's mass shootings. I was unaware that the majority of mass shootings, just because the most recent dude beat his wife, doesn't mean that the mass majority are abusive. I thought the mass majority were like high school kids and shit, or terrorists, but whatever. And then the other thing is, those people, like, you already can take the guns away from people that get convicted of, domestic violence. The gun violence restraining order was stuff like your neighbors, your coworkers, or just about anybody who knows you can go to the judge behind your back and say, I don't trust this dude, take away his guns. And the judge will either say yes or no, and then they'll come and take your guns away. So, I mean, it's a complete freaking witch hunt,
Burn the witch.
Yeah, exactly. I
basically
don't like
doing away
you.
with
I'm
due
going to say
process.
that you're scary. I mean, you don't even have to prove anything. Like, oh, he
I was referring to Hillary Clinton, but okay.
threatened me. Kind of a weird guy.
No.
we're
You know,
here
real
too.
quick, if I can say something about that, there was a senator, I believe she was from Lake Pleasant or something like that in California. Her name was Melissa Melendez. She's a dying breed of a Republican that still believes in gun rights, but she was on the Senate in California, and she wanted to make it a felony to lie about a false accusation because you don't like basically she wanted to make it a felony if anybody put a false accusation just because they didn't like the person, and it was shot down quicker than freaking like clay pigeons. So
Well, it's California. Do you really, you know?
but it was
Are you
like
surprised?
it made sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, if you lie about this, if you lie to law enforcement, that is wrong. And they were like, no, then people are going to be afraid to turn people in. Not if it's the truth, you morons.
Right. Yeah, people might be afraid to lie about it, which maybe they should be. It's kind of like, and I believe this bill also was vetoed recently, but they wanted to make it like extra illegal to file a false police report about a stolen gun. It's already illegal to lie to the police about like your stuff getting stolen. I
Anything.
can't call them up and say, "Hey, my Picasso got stolen. I want to follow a report."
You know how
That's
many
illegal.
times that happens with auto insurance claims?
Right.
You need to make it super illegal, though. Then they will.
Yeah.
Super illegal.
Or was that one? I think that maybe that was signed. I forget now. I'm sorry. I get confused.
It was.
But oh, it wasn't. Okay. Either way, but it was like that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so since we're on the whole thing of California, let's segue into the whole, horribleness of the bills that had passed.
Well, I wasn't even close to being done, but okay.
I thought you were done, so
No,
if
no,
you're not
no.
done yet.
I
If you're not done with that, I apologize.
I paused for discussion, but there's much more stupidity than just one line. Come on now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know what?
Oh.
We'll table that and we'll get back. We'll get to that next. So tell us more about the bad comments.
Okay. So blah 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 da da da. The crap happened or whatever. Among other things, the law requires background checks for guns loaned to non-family members. In parentheses, targeting straw purchasing, in which people buy weapons on behalf of other people. No, it's not. That's already a thing. And if you were straw purchasing, you wouldn't loan it to the person, you'd sell it to them. So that's
they're
just
talking about ghost guns in that article too.
Oh yeah, just wait till we get down to that one. That's a good one. So they also I might just have to read this word for word now as the stupidity's rolling in.
Give it to us.
It also outlawed so-called bullet buttons, which were developed by the gun makers to get around a detachable magazine law, and people with magazines need to surrender them. Well, that second half is true. And then another law requires background checks for ammo. Okay, so
I got
that
some
was
old
all right.
Time magazines I could surrender to them.
Yeah, exactly. So what does this really mean for California? It's not really gonna, which may help prevent some crime. But the problem with leaving issues like these to the states rather than legislating them on the federal level is they can look across the border to somewhere that favors a looser legal approach to guns. And states like Arizona and Nevada, blah blah blah. And they say all it takes is
they say Arizona, Nevada have an F.
right, which I'd be proud as hell if I lived there.
Yeah, that's one thing you want to get an F in.
We have
Yeah,
an
'cause
F
that's-
rating from the Brady campaign, and we're so proud of it.
I
Yup.
would really love to get an F from those fuckers.
In that situation, F stands for fantastic.
I think it stands for freedom.
Stands for fucking A.
Fantastic freedom.
I think it
So,
stands for fabulous.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Brandon, you're in Arizona, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so tell me if this is true. All it takes is a casual jaunt across the border to bring home a trunk full of goodies, something that gun stores in those states already exploit by catering to. Do gun stores in Arizona have huge signs that say "Welcome California"?
No.
Like
They probably have
so
signs that say
I'm
"Fuck
confused. So
California."
basically, what they're saying is that when basically gun stores here in Arizona, we drive across state lines to deliver like machine guns to you guys. Is that what they're saying?
Well, yeah, or I think the Californians come over and the gun stores have big signs that say, welcome like when I go up north in the fall, it says welcome hunters, like on all the bars and all the gas stations, like they're very welcoming. So it says welcome Californians, we'll sell you full auto ARs for $10.
Fantastic.
And they have girls in bikinis walking back and forth in front of the gun
No,
shop.
okay, so like case in point and how untrue that is. So like a guy came from California and he wondered if he could buy an AR, and I said absolutely. And I said, but it has to be an approved model in your state, and then we have to send it to your FFL, and then it has to be retrofitted with your bullet button, which at the time was legal. And then whatever other pertaining laws you might have. But yes, you can purchase from us, but you cannot walk out the store like you're a resident of our state with it. And he's like,
Right.
oh, okay. So yes, that part is true, but it's not like we're just like, here, welcome to Arizona.
Exactly. Well, and that's what they say is a casual jaunt across the border and bring home a trunk full of goodies.
Oh God, I wish.
Yeah,
well, no,
exactly.
There's nothing stopping them from going and buying magazines. That's true. Magazines and
I
ammunition.
have heard of. Real quick, I have heard of a couple of stores in Vegas, and actually, damn, we're live. Well, whatever. I don't care. Like I went to go and buy a couple mags when I lived in California in Nevada, and they wouldn't sell it to me because they asked for my ID, and like they were like, "Oh, you're from California?" I said, "Yeah." Like, we're not gonna sell you the mags, and I said, "Why is that?" And I'm like, "Well, we don't want you to take them across the border." And I said, "Of course I have to like sell them before I leave, but I'm out here shooting in the desert. I don't want to freaking blast off my 10-round AR mag." And they were like, "Yeah, it's just better on us if we don't sell it to you." And then I went outside in the parking lot, and they actually do have cops that sit out there and kind of like, just keep an eye and make sure that people are not buying guns to try to cross the border. So, but it's not it's not a problem. You know what I mean? Like, law-abiding gun owners, like, yeah, I wasn't gonna bring it across the border. I was gonna sell it to my buddy who actually lived in Vegas. But like it was just fun while I was there. But here's the thing, like they think that there's like this, weapons cache that comes through with like, in all black Humvees across the border, like it's some movie or something. And it's like, does that stuff go on? Of course it does. We'd be ignorant to think that it doesn't. But it's not like, anybody in this panel that's, being gun runners. It's like if so, we'd probably have like, we'd probably be out buying a new Austin Martin if we were gun owners right now, not be on a panel. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
What only happens if Eric Holder's in control?
Hey, I want a Dodge Hellcat, not a Aston Martin.
I don't want an Aston Martin. I'd rather have another car, and I would get
I'll
blasted
take that
for saying.
fucking Aston, thank you.
I want a
Right?
Dodge Hellcat.
Bond.
I want a different car, but that's just me.
I will take that DB11, thank you.
Absolutely. Hey guys, I hate to be this guy, but
You have to
just
go.
pulling up to my I'm just pulling up to my girlfriend's house. I'm trying to reconcile our relationship right now. So wish me
Ooh.
luck.
Good luck to you.
Good luck with that.
Hopefully I
luck.
can save it. So love you guys. Talk to you later. Thanks for having me.
You've got a Range Rover and a freaking
Yeah.
what's that?
You're
You
fine,
have a
dude.
Spaz 12 and a fucking Range
If she
Rover.
says to choose between her and your guns, drop her like a sack of potatoes.
Nah, he has a Range Rover and a Spaz 12. He's a keeper.
Yeah.
Just flash that Scorpion at her. You'll be fine.
There you go.
I sold
Good
the
luck,
Scorpion
Brandon.
for an MKE.
Well, no wonder why
Ah.
she left. I'm sorry. I don't mean to make light, dude. I apologize.
No
Go get her, brother.
It's nothing that time
you
can't fix.
All right.
Anyway.
So
All right, we're almost through this crap
Okay.
hole. So this gets the good part too. Contending with a flood of ghost guns manufactured at private homes and in small workshops with
ghost
readily
guns.
available components. While making guns for personal use isn't entirely unusual, the practice of making them to sell is on the rise. Oh, you mean so the practice of doing illegal things is on the rise? Maybe you should go catch those people. New laws, like just go catch the people that are making guns and selling them.
that are doing illegal stuff.
Exactly, because it's true. You can make them for yourself, no problem. You're not allowed to sell them. The kind of people who make ghost guns likely aren't complying with legal restrictions on firearms, Well, no shit, because they already broke the law just by selling it, and nor are they running background checks on their buyers. I agree with that statement, but go get them now anyways. You don't need new laws. It's freaking ridiculous.
Well, I just think I'm going to do a quick test of this theory of yours that nobody sells guns outside to California and Arizona. Because I don't know, has anybody looked on Craigslist or anything?
Well, like Brandon was saying, it probably does happen, but the idea that gun stores, actual FFLs, are promoting the fact to cater to Californians, I don't buy that at all.
Yeah, there's no sign that says "Welcome California refugees" or anything like that.
Unless you're a refugee and you're staying, then they'll sell you whatever you want. But if you're just visiting and want to go back, they probably won't do it. And that's the thing. FFLs have the ability to just not sell to people if it doesn't feel right. And I think the
They know
vast
the
majority
law.
do.
They know the law. They're not about to lose their FFL licensing, on a hunch or anything. They're going to cover their ass.
Well, if you look in Vegas on like Backpage or Craigslist, yeah, I don't know about Craigslist, but Backpage, you could probably see 1 billion ads for firearms there.
I remember when Craigslist used to actually have a firearms section.
Hey, I remember when they used to mail out the penny saver with pictures of guns in LA, so and street sweepers and stuff, and it was all just like pictures.
Mom's Home Companion for sale.
Yeah, so there's another little gem in here real quick I just want to read, and then I'm about wrapped up, so you guys can get ready on your other stuff. They've been skirting the law with cleverly modified California legal, in quotes, guns all along, and now they're abandoning even the pretense, feeding on the increasing toxic gun culture in America, a country where people insist that the government is coming for their guns. You are. You just said you were. And then you make us sound paranoid because we say you're coming for our guns.
Well, it's bad enough they're coming for the guns that were designed to comply with a bullshit law in the first place.
Yeah. They basically, by putting it in quotes, they said, cleverly modified California legal. They turned that into a bad word.
How dare you comply with our laws,
Yeah.
How dare you?
How dare your legal gun be, owned? Like, that's a bad thing. And then it goes on talking about the Second Amendment and how, oh, geez, the founders were racist and they were all white and, the Native Americans and, stuff that has nothing to do with any of it. So I'm not even going to read that crap.
All right. Well, I just screen shared the Backpage Las Vegas sports equipment, and it says handguns for sale. So, I'd be willing to bet most of these people do not have an FFL.
Yeah, but those are what you call private party transfers, right?
Hell if I know.
And then also, do you know the laws, the firearms laws in regards to sales in Nevada?
Nope.
Well then, and how do you know that? How do you know it's not? I'm pretty sure they regulate within their own state. So.
Well, none of it matters because every anti-gunner and every law that caters to anti-gunners says we are criminals in potentia.
I know they have pictures for hookers in here too and stuff, and for Vegas, but they aren't allowed to do that in Vegas either. So,
So you're going to associate legal law-abiding gun owners with people who want to get hookers illegally?
I'm just. Well, what's wrong with hookers?
I think that's a pretty bad thing to do, especially on a gun channel show.
I'm just looking on Backpage to see what's out there, man.
Right, but just because there's gun for sale in Vegas, that doesn't mean, and even the private party thing, it doesn't mean the majority of private parties are going to be selling to Californians knowing that that person will be illegal when he goes back home. I think most private parties, now granted, not all of them because they don't have to, but they'll at least be like, let me, look at your driver's license or some shit. I've never sold a gun personally. If I did, I think my personal rule would be I'd sell it to someone with a carry permit. Just if it's not someone I know personally, if you have a carry permit, you're good in my book. But I'm not going to sell it to just a random person on the street. just because that personally, I feel like that's what I'd want to do. But I don't really want to sell guns anyways, so.
Right. Well, I would be willing to guess that not all these guns are for sale by FFL, or that the people actually care who buys them. But I'm not here to. I'm just
there
looking
could
on
be some.
Backpage.
Sure. The way the article wrote, it's like every single gun store was catering to Californians, and that's the only thing I was contesting.
I really need a gun safe at some point, and since there's no more sports authorities closing down, I can't really. I'm gonna have to pay for some shipping from the mainland. It's gonna cost a small fortune just in shipping to get a good one. I certainly don't want to buy the crap they sell at Costco for gun safes. But I mean, I just saw one in here, so.
Can you check it in your bag when you go on vacation?
A gun safe?
It's gonna be a big bag.
Maybe you can take it as a carry-on, and then they'll
carry on. Well, they want to know if there's any.
Safe.
You got like a big refrigerator dolly, and you're like trying to get through the.
Well, I bought the seat next to me so I can put this shit on board.
Well, I was on a cruise ship coming back from Mexico on a Mexican Riviera cruise, and this guy bought like a steel helmet with two bull horns on the horns of two bulls on the top of it, like a matador or something. He just looked at him like he was crazy. So they let him take it. So just because it's stupid doesn't mean it's illegal. So I don't know. I need a better gun safe than the crap they sell at Costco. So I don't know. It's on my list of things to figure out.
Yep, definitely. I mean, if you're gonna have to pay big bucks for it anyways, Fort Knox is pretty damn cool. But they're already expensive, and it's probably double the price for shipping or whatever.
Oh, there's a safe brand called Fort Knox?
Yeah.
Oh.
And those things, I mean, they're awesome, but they, start at the $1,000 mark or so.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll check into it. I'm not very knowledgeable about safes, so hey, maybe people on gun channels can talk to me about that in the after chat.
Yeah, definitely. I know G-Web's support likes them, and the more I checked them out, like everything they do is a step above and beyond like what all the other companies do for the same kind of range. I mean, that's one of those things. You're paying for it. It's not cheap. I definitely agree with that, but it's worth it I think it's worth it for what you get.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll talk to you about it off air.
Yep, that's fine. So what were the other topics? I'm done with my shit, so you guys can rock and roll. Is it your turn, Sean, or?
I think it was Heavy B's turn.
Hey, my turn. I didn't have no topic except for a bitch that California fucking sucks balls.
Are you mad?
Oh,
God.
Jeez, I'm not trying to talk or anything. I thought it was supposed to be my turn.
Oh, drop your phone in the garbage disposal. Jesus.
I did. How'd you know? I was so pissed.
Oh.
So, yeah, whatever. I got nothing else. It's on me. Somebody else say something.
You got so angry you threw your phone in the garbage disposal. That's all I heard.
Hey, that's news. That's news coming in from California.
Your anger.
I'm just stirring my dinner right now because I'm waiting for my phone to be done in the garbage disposal.
All right. So for anyone that has been living under a rock, basically what happened is California, they had like 11 gun laws, anti-gun laws, go through the state senate and 11? To the governor. It was 11, but of those 11, only 5 or 6 of them got signed, and the rest got vetoed. But the problem is
6 got vetoed, 6 passed, 4 got vetoed. and one of them's still on the battery box.
Yeah, one is still on the table, so it's still on the governor's desk. Apparently, he hasn't come back to work today. Lazy bastard.
Well, he's
in
on
Europe.
he's on vacation.
Yeah,
in
just
Europe.
like the entire Assembly and Senate of the state of California. They're all on vacation.
Yeah, lazy bastards.
I mean, there's actually one guy who I know, and I won't say who he is on YouTube, but he has a gun channel, and it's he works in a gun store, and he said he's tired of people coming in and talking about the crappy gun laws, and it's like we're doing something wrong by complaining about it. You know what?
I think he needs to move to a different state.
He is moving to a different state, but I hope that didn't give it away. But hey, I won't go into the shop that he works at and talk about that stuff. I mean, as a matter of fact, I won't go into the shop that he works at anymore. But
Well, a lot of us who are afflicted by these unconstitutional fucking gun laws, we hear everybody constantly talking about it. It's like, having a wound and having somebody rub salt into that wound. Now, we're not.
It's more like 40 guys come in and they all talk about have the same complaint. And I think he's just tired of.
Exactly. You have an open wound and 40 people are rubbing salt in that fucking wound.
Every
now,
day.
It's not that we don't want to fight it. We obviously we do.
Yeah, well, I don't want to.
But at the same time, it's like, after a while, like, I stopped watching videos on people bitching about the California gun laws, especially those who do not live in California, which is virtually everybody. So I just totally I just like, God, I can't even listen to these people right now because I'm still pissed about it. I got to calm down a little bit. Got to bring the temperature down and then get ready and then regroup and then re-attack. Regroup, reassess, and then engage. So, I mean, right now, it's, I don't know.
It's like when people are like, but if they're like, I refuse to talk about this anymore. I don't want to hear anything you have to say about gun rights, and anybody that talks about gun rights is an idiot. So it's like, you know what?
I believe I just explained why that is.
Yeah, but,
there's no but. That's just what it is. Give them time to back off. Give them a little space. Let them cool down. Let them regroup, reassess, and then reassert themselves.
He doesn't want to reassert himself. He doesn't want to fight for gun rights. He doesn't want to say it. He doesn't. It's just he just wants to move and move somewhere else.
Sometimes the way talking to you is like fucking talking to a brick wall. I just explained what it was.
I haven't done a bow drill yet. Just because I don't have a bow drill yet, shit.
Well, anyway, so I think there is a difference. Heavy's got a good point. Like, there's a difference between just bitching about it and like talking about, okay, what can we do about it, like with calm heads and, talk strategy or whatever. So maybe we just got to get through this little period of everyone gets it out their system, they vented, now what do we do? That's the constructive part, because that's where we need to go from there, and that's where the state organizations and hopefully freaking like the NRA and, the big national organizations will actually put some effort and money into these battleground states, and we can get some stuff changed.
The NRA, the Gun Owners of America, gotta give them props.
I would like to jump in really quick and say I am not shunning anybody from giving us support. I appreciate everybody's being upset about this crap happening. I truly am. It's just like I said. Sometimes Californians, because we're California, or even Hawaiians, you guys are getting fucked right now too. Maybe that's exactly what it is. I mean, that's probably exactly what it is with him too. It's like hearing the same shit over and over and over again. Step back, reassess.
I've already have people tell me what I have to do to buy a gun, and I don't want to hear somebody tell me that I can't complain about it. If I can't exercise all my Second Amendment rights without them being infringed, I don't need somebody telling me I can't exercise my First Amendment rights.
They're not telling you can't exercise your First Amendment right. They're just asking you not to do it around them for the time being.
Well,
that's called common courtesy.
You mean the don't pour the salt in the wound thing?
Well,
pretty much. Obviously some people are going to be more upset about it than others.
If you don't want me to talk about gun rights, why are you on gun channels? I mean,
Oh, God, Jesus Christ, never mind. I'm moving on. Somebody talk.
I think he's just messing with you, Heavy.
So Hillary's above the law. How's that for a hard cut?
Oh, okay, here we go.
Sean, you there?
I'm here,
Where's
but I don't know why you think
official-
I was going to talk about it.
Because you were going on about the whole KMDs, the Cankles of Mass Destruction.
No, the
Yeah,
Tangerine Terror cankles of mass destruction.
No, Tangerine Terror is Trump. Oh, well, I guess that would be the same thing. That's
No,
Trump.
it's Trump. We got to make Trump great again.
Who?
Anyways, but yeah, you guys, you're more into this whole email thing than I am. So, Sean, what's going on?
What's going on? Okay, so we had a meeting between former President Bill Clinton and the District Attorney Loretta Lynch days ago, and that meeting, quote, coincidentally happened in Phoenix at the airport because he heard she was coming. The meeting was about golf, which she doesn't play, and grandchildren, which I'm sure the conversation was, hey, let's talk about our grandchildren. If you want yours to live, you're going to leave my wife alone. So that happened.
30 minutes. 30-minute conversation about grandchildren and golf.
Right, and the thing is she violated the Department of Justice's rules. I think it's Section 28/452, which is personal relationships and associations during an investigation. So had this indictment actually gone to trial, she would have to have been expelled from the case.
It didn't go to indictment. It didn't.
Right.
There was no indictment.
Have gone that far,
Gone
she
to a
would have been
grand jury.
expelled because the Department of Justice was ready to file a formal complaint due to that meeting, which wasn't even supposed to be on file. It's just the media caught it, they busted them, and all of a sudden the media attention shifted, and the whole demographic shifted. So what then happened was 2 days ago, I think it was 2 days ago, maybe 3 days ago, the FBI decided that they wanted to talk to Hillary Clinton for 4 hours, which, by all accounts, since there is no public record of what they actually talked about, was probably how they were going to dole out the payouts of what she's going to do to get away with all this shit. Because today's news conference was 15 minutes of damning evidence that said she definitely committed. Now, here's the thing. Every email that was classified as top secret is an individual felony account. This is the way that the word of the law is written. 110 of those, plus 38 top secret is 110, 38 secret. There was a couple of them that were actually proactively changed to special access programs, but they can only go by what it was at the time. And they categorically marked every fucking one of these out. And then this was followed by, and yet we can't find a case that a prosecutor would take against this, so we're not going to recommend charges. Immediately followed by, had this been anybody else, yes, we probably would have pressed charges. Basically, James Comey just admitted, I'm just doing it because it's her.
Right. It was a political decision. It was,
right.
Which was the same problem Pontius Pilate had with Jesus Christ.
Well, it's what it comes down to, because I was watching him talk and say it, but what it comes down to is the fact is he can do the investigation and suggest it go to trial or something, but it's up to the prosecution. The prosecution under the Obama administration will not take the case, and they've told him that.
Right, and the thing is like you just said, the FBI is not a prosecuting entity. What they do is they assemble the evidence and they bring forth charges to take to the district attorney, just like you said. However, the district attorney was already disqualified for her meeting, so they had to just kill it at the fact-finding process instead.
Yeah, well, that's basically, when Pontius Pilate said, had to figure out whether to charge Jesus Christ with
We
insurrection
have
against
Jews
Rome.
and Muslims in the audience. You can't use a biblical reference.
I'm Jewish. They blame the Jews for killing Christ.
It's
But,
all your fault.
It's all your fault.
I
Just
thought we were
Oh,
blaming the
so
Romans
killed
for
Jesus.
that.
Well, I do, but I'm Jewish, so it really the whole thing depends is whether she's guilty or not depends on whose side you're on, and that was the same problem Jesus Christ had because when Pontius Pilate, according to I don't believe the Gospel of Luke or Paul or John
come up with a better
Matthew,
reference.
but
Let's use a more modern reference.
Yeah, like
Hold on.
it
Hold
is
on.
only
As a Christian,
relevant.
as a Christian, if you're going to refer to Hillary Clinton, you need to be coming up with something like the Antichrist to compare her to.
or the devil.
Whatever.
No. Because
Pontius
as an
Pilate
atheist,
had
I can
to
tell
make
you
the
that the
same
story of the
decision that
Antichrist was a
Comey.
guy who was supposed to unify the remnants of the world, and she is not a fucking unifier.
Right, but
We all know
if you
this.
can I just get something out, guys? It's
Go
Pontius
ahead.
Pilate had to, ask, the person in question, if he was committing an insurrection against Rome, intended to try and overthrow Rome, and this person in question said, my kingdom is not of this world. And so Pontius Pilate went out and said, well, first he asked him, well, why are you here? And then, so he said, so the person in question says, I'm here to bear witness to the truth. And do you want to say what else he said? I mean, I'm here to bear witness to the truth, and everybody who believes in the truth will listen to what I have to say. And so then Pontius Pilate famously says, "Quies veritas?" What is truth? And then he just walked right out and did not wait for the answer. And he said, I cannot. And then he went out to all the people and said, I cannot find anything to charge this guy with. But the people didn't want to hear that. So he in the end, he wound up knowingly condemning an innocent man to crucifixion.
Yeah, and what was it over? I think they were handing out
Insurrection
people.
against Rome.
In the audience, they were handing out pieces of silver so people would say to go after him. So.
In the audience, well, I don't know who was in the audience, but
They were bribing. They were bribing.
The point is, the point is that the guy who had to make a decision, the decision wound up being based on politics, and it had nothing to do with what laws he broke. And the same thing happens with Hillary. The decision was based on politics, not what laws she broke.
Well, yeah, because the head of the FBI was appointed by the party. The district attorney was appointed technically by the quote first husband. Prior, he wasn't.
And if Pontius Pilate had himself, came out and said, yeah, let's, I want to condemn this guy and to crucifixion because he's guilty as hell, then his political career would have been over.
The problem with what's going on right now is this just illustrated to America that you can put people above the law. She is immune to prosecution. She is immune to the law. She is better than you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Well,
for what reason? She still has absolutely no qualifications to be president of the United States. Like, ask anybody, name 3 things that Hillary Clinton has done in her tenure as a public servant that has benefited the American people.
Unfortunate reality that there's only 3 things that we can't avoid in life, and that is death, taxes, and Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, yeah.
Voting for Hillary Clinton because she's a woman and it's time is like drinking antifreeze because it looks like fucking Gatorade.
I'm going to say this. We could have had a female vice president already if people would have just voted for John McCain and Sarah Palin.
Oh,
yes,
God.
she's a ditz. Yes, it's Palin.
No.
We
You
could
know
have
what?
already been there.
I got one
He would
better
have
than
been dead
that.
by now.
This would be a non-issue if Hillary Clinton's Hillary Clinton's competition was Laura Bush. Then what would have happened? Hi, y'all. I was a librarian and a school teacher. She was a liar. Do you want to elect her or me?
Oh man.
This
But-
would be a
but-
non-issue. If we had to vote for a woman, this would have been the prime time for Laura Bush to run against her.
Well, she could be a vice president.
There's probably some girls on Backpage I would rather vote for.
I'm just saying, politically, with the landscape and the way it is,
Right.
the fact that half of America, more than half of America, because actually conservatives are a minority, more than half of America is willing to vote for Hillary Clinton just because she's a woman. Let's not fucking even touch the fact that she's an enabler to an adulterer, a multi-time adulterer husband. Let's not touch the fact that she has done absolutely nothing in her political career that has benefited the American people whatsoever. Let's just overlook the fact that the, quote, champion of women and gay rights took $100 million fucking dollars from 10 countries, half of them which are under Sharia law. Let's just ignore all that. She's a woman. It's her time. We're fucking idiots. Give me the Kool-Aid.
I don't want the Kool-Aid. I will not drink it. I will not even look at it because that shit's flammable.
Laura Bush could have had a slam dunk win.
Yeah, well, she could still be a vice president.
No, she can't, because it's gonna go to Ted Cruz if there is a brain cell in Donald Trump's head. He's gonna have to beg, borrow, steal,
doesn't he
and
need Ted
blow
Cruz?
whatever it takes,
I
because
don't know.
he had such a good following with the American people and the conservative movement that if they don't take him, I mean, who's his alternative? Who's he going to take? Unify the party by taking the guy who was in second place.
Chris
Let
Christie.
the person who everyone says would be the ultimate conservative Supreme Court justice choice be your vice president.
Everybody thinks he's going to choose Chris Christie.
Chris Christie would make a good district attorney after he gets the
Fact.
presidency. And then he would go after Hillary. With any
I
hope.
think you're going to have to deal with the fact that nobody's going after Hillary because I don't think
The
hope
best
Trump
thing I
wins. I'm
heard
voting for
all
Trump,
day
but I don't think
today-
he's going to win.
The best thing I heard after the Comey presser today was Hillary Clinton, 3 hours after being let off the hook by James Comey, is on Air Force One with President Barack Obama to, promote her presidential nomination, right? And then someone responded, well, hell, I mean, she just got off the fucking hook. Why doesn't she take a victory lap in Saudi Arabia?
Why didn't she go to Disneyland?
No, she should take a victory lap in Saudi Arabia.
Well, do you see the parallel between FBI Director Comey and Pontius Pilate?
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah, all right. I tried to stay as much non-biblical as I possibly could, but there was a parallel that was just obvious to me. What? So it's like, what was I trying to say? What was the quote I was trying to say? Yeah, what is truth? Asked Director Comey, and he did not wait for an answer.
What happened today?
I could see him interviewing Hillary Clinton. His agents walk in and say, "Okay, what is the truth?" And she'd say, "I'm tired of answering questions. That's the truth."
Yeah.
Okay.
What difference does it make? That's what she would say.
What difference does it make? Oh yeah,
Exactly.
and the other person I was talking about said, I'm here as a witness for the truth, and Pontius Pilate says, what is truth? And so if you want to answer that question, you have to take a philosophy class. So, because I don't know what truth is, and I'm sure that Hillary doesn't.
I've got a friend whose father,
It was all politics. This was a
he was all
political
politics.
decision.
This guy, I don't know how he can vote the way he votes. He's voting for Hillary in November. He's a staunch Democrat, and yet he claims to support Israel, despite the fact that the Iran nuclear deal passed. His son served for 15 years in the Air Force, in combat. captured, released, went back to fight, then had an honorable discharge, right? And even his son at the dinner table won't speak to his own father because he can't understand how he could vote for a woman who's going to be a third term of a presidency where there's 97.5 million people out of the labor force, but they skew the numbers because those people have been out for so long that they're no longer counted in the labor statistics and the unemployment statistics. How he can support a candidate during an administration that has more people on welfare in history than ever before, who has more than doubled the national debt, who had created
one of the guys on YouTube is saying
that doesn't even fucking work.
Hey,
and
Sean,
he's going to vote for this.
One of the guys on YouTube is saying it's Attorney General, not District Attorney.
Well, yeah, sorry, Attorney General. You're right.
So, all right, but I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Absolutely right, though. Yeah, I mean, it's the highest prosecutory office in the land, and her and the head of the FBI have just proven to be nothing more than political bought-off shills.
Well, of course, that's their job.
And you know what? To be perfectly honest, in the next 12 to 24 months, it would not surprise me in the least if we get a story in the New York Times on page 3 at the bottom right corner that says, James Comey's body was found on the side of a jogging trail, apparently died from a supposed heart attack. It wouldn't surprise me in the least. I mean, just look up something called the Clinton death pool, and I know it's tinfoil hattery, but there are 51 people on that list. All with mysterious deaths.
He just exonerated her. Why would she want him dead?
Because she doesn't leave any loose ends.
I don't think he's a loose end. I think
he's a loose
end.
He's a
knot.
Loose end. Shit tied up talk in his presser today. He basically let her off the hook, but talked so much shit about her afterwards. And her clam snapped shut, and she was pissed with the wording he used. She was like, "Oh, well, basically, he just gave fuel to the fire for every Bernie supporter that's gonna vote for fucking Trump after this, because now he just painted me to be an untrustworthy cunt."
I don't think he used those exact words.
No, but I mean, come on, let's call a spade a spade. Let's not fool ourselves.
Well,
right.
It's a political position, and just like Pontius Pilate, he had to balance the the interest of Rome, the interest of his career, and please the mob all at the same time.
You're right, and this is an election that's exactly the same. We have a society of people who are too easily offended. We have a generation of millennials that are too easily bruised, and we have political shills who are going to say just what they need to say to keep their jobs. And it's like, when are the voting public going to be sick of it and actually do something about it?
Everybody on all sides is already sick of it.
They're not doing anything about it. I mean, look what we have to choose from.
Well,
we get the government we deserve. I've heard that from people on gun channels. I've heard it from radio hosts. I've heard it from TV personalities, and they're absolutely right. We don't deserve better government because we're not voting for it. I'm telling you, I should have ran. I should have fucking ran. America's ready for me and Vice President Mike Rowe and First Lady fucking Taylor Swift. That's what they're ready for.
I blame Rome. I blame Emperor Hadrian and specifically, but
you're going too far back.
you are going too far back.
Nothing has changed. It's the exact same shit.
You're right, but there's more modern examples that people can relate to. I mean, can't you find like a reference to Mussolini or something?
Hasn't anybody? Well, I think most of.
How about Hitler? I mean, Hitler's a good reference for this.
No, because there's an actual movement that says as soon as you reference anything to Nazi Germany or Hitler, your argument is over. So we can't use that one.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, most people have read the Bible, so
I've read them all.
I only read the Old Testament, but I mean, I've heard of the Gospel and the King James Bible, believe it or not. So.
Go ahead, our fearless host. Change the subject.
Save us from.
What happens when you ask me to speak on something?
Well, no, it's good because that way I don't have to try and come up with a topic all the damn time. But yeah. I get where you're coming from. I understand where Hawaii's coming from. and I'm just gonna end this part of the conversation on this note that
I
the
get
world
what
is
Dr.
fucked up,
Joe is
and it doesn't matter whether it was the past or the future. You know, we're gonna have corrupt politicians that probably should be in jail but never are. And I'm gonna end it with that.
Yeah,
Let me
so
just say one
some of
thing.
them will become the emperor.
My dad, for whatever reason, my dad was a card-carrying Democrat. We got into a big fight about politics before. I mean, big, like violent fight about politics before. And we made a promise not to get overly worked up about it. And then I slowly started working him back into it. And then I showed him the movie 13 Hours, which obviously isn't the gospel, but it was just something that I thought he needed to see. And then I asked him today about the Comey FBI decision, and then we talked about the government we deserve and the government that the voting public should go for. And one of the things I told him is I'm trying to approach to him my mentality of why I'm going to vote the way I'm going to vote, not based on the parties, not based on the candidates, because there are good and bad things to be said about each one, more on one side than the other, but that's my slant. And I told him that my conscience will make me vote for the party that will not fuck up the Supreme Court. That's where I stand as of today. You know, we have a potential chance of changing 4 Supreme Court justices, and that could really, really screw with an entire generation of people. And if someone like Hillary Clinton gets into office, someone who's very liberal, someone who's easily pushed far left if she's, contested by another leftist, imagine what she's going to do at the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
say she gets in, say you still have a Republican Congress, and for the first 2 years she puts up these nominees and they block it. And then when their time is to get reelected, she will help the other side work against getting them replaced by saying, look, they won't help me. You guys need to help me get rid of these guys. And then what happens? Blue
All right.
Congress. She gets anything she wants, and we're all screwed.
I'm like, here I am, and I'm still fighting the Emperor of Rome. So.
Okay, let's fast forward to like 2016. All right.
We're fighting a potential Queen Hillary.
All right. So we got a couple questions in. I want to go over them because
sure.
Queen Hillary. No. All right.
No.
We're not going over that. But one of our viewers asked if we knew when the new Beretta striker-fired model was going to come out, and as far as I know, there is not a release date on it yet. They might have updated it, but I haven't seen anything on the striker-fired Beretta.
The APX?
The APX, yes.
As an owner of several PX4 Storms, what's wrong with those? I mean, they're a little thick, but it's a perfectly usable platform, so
it's
cares?
The fact they're probably striker-fired.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I like the peace of mind of double action, single action, to be honest. I'm just kind of old school, I guess, that way.
And we have an update from the X-Star pistol question from last week from Patrick. He sent this after we got done with the chat, but I wanted to update us everyone on this. He has a CZ P9. He's got a Ruger GP100, 4.5 inch, or 4.2 inch. He says he's got a Walther PPS M2 as his CCW, and he also has an Arcus 98 double action he picked up for like $100. So he just thought that for home defense, the X-Star would be nice to add. That's why he said what he did last week when he was asking about the X-Star AR-15 pistol.
Did anybody see something in like that firearms blog or something about that? I don't know if it was all bullshit, but somebody said something about like a Glock Gen 5 coming out. I was like, what? And I didn't even click on it because I thought it was bullshit. But
oh yeah, the Glock just got a contract, but one of the things was no finger grooves. So they're like, what? Did they just sell a bunch of frames without finger grooves? Did they make up a new one?
Who knows?
Was that the FBI or something just bought a bunch?
Well, I was just wondering if anybody heard about it. So you're saying it's not bullshit. There is a Gen 5 Glock or
Well,
something.
I don't know if it's going to officially be another Gen 5, but basically what they're saying, they just got a contract to sell to one of the governments, I forget what, but one of the
About what
stipulations
we
was no finger grooves. So it obviously can't be a Gen 4. So the speculation is they'll just make a new frame, and that will kind of be a Gen 5 or
Okay,
whatever.
so they got some government contract is the rumor. Okay.
Yeah,
So they're making.
but they need to sell without finger grooves. And
And,
Hey,
all right.
hold on, one question real quick. How bad is our government's cloning technology that they're busting out replicants without fingers?
Right.
It's the only logical thing that makes
You can't
sense.
have grooves when you're wearing, Fallout power armor.
Listen, we're getting complaints from the clones with the flipper hands.
All right. Okay, we're going back to the questions.
Night Strike, before you get the next question,
Go ahead.
real quick.
Go ahead.
All right. I posted the link over there on Gun Channels. I found this YouTube channel today. It's the Maryland Militiamen.
You're breaking up.
Or Maryland Minutemen on YouTube, and they have awesome videos of like testimony and the state, Maryland stuff. So
Awesome.
if you're a nerd and you like seeing people testify in front of, the state about laws and different things, it's a good channel.
All right. Check them out. Okay, so back to the questions. We've got a sort of political question here. This is from
me.
yeah, it is. It's from I'm just going to say the first name. It's from Dana. They're asking, thanks for checking my email. Hopefully everyone had a decent Independence Day. What is more likely to happen in your opinion, another civil war or World War III? And which is more likely for which candidate?
Ooh, it's actually an interesting question.
You know,
Okay.
I go with World War III.
I would say, yeah.
I don't know
How many
how to
votes for
word this
World
without
War III?
offending somebody. I'm
Just
of the
making it-
belief that World War III could take place to end organized religion as a way to stop radical Islam. And I know that's going to be controversial. It's getting to the point where in the beginning of humanity, I think that religion was originally, now this isn't to offend people, this is just, I think originally religion was created as a way to explain things that science couldn't, because there was no science in the beginning times. And as the Renaissance took place and science began to explain things better, then they started to question the process of answering questions before. So they started questioning creationism, which might have brought about evolution. And to be perfectly honest, I mean, let's just go ahead and talk about it. There's this sick meme floating around, even I'll admit that, called the Ramadan Bombathon.
Okay,
And
what was the question? Can you just repeat the question? Because I don't even think you're answering it.
I am. He's talking
what is the
about what's
question?
more likely to happen, an American Civil War or World War III. And to be perfectly honest, the thing is, I don't think there's going to be an American Civil War, and there's enough angry people that could keep screaming for an American Second Revolutionary War. But the thing is chances are it'll never happen.
I mean, the only
we've got
civil war that's
provisions.
going to be in America, I think, is going to be on Twitter. With people just tweeting.
You're talking about like nobody actually taking arms and having action. They're just going to make a bunch of noise. And I would agree with you. It's just the thing is for every 10 of those, there's only going to be one person who's going to take up arms and actually exercise the rights that they have to overthrow an oppressive government.
Tweeting, tweeting on their phone, taking up arms. I mean, so.
I don't know. It's just a nasty gray area because there's a lot of angry people with the system, and then they look at somebody like a Donald Trump and say, dude, I'll vote for you. Go into Washington and flip over the table. And after what happened today, there's a lot of people saying, dude, go in there, flip over the table, But there's a lot of tables to flip. You've got to deal with the IRS, you've got to deal with the FBI, you've got to deal with just everybody. And
Hashtag
that's
flip
not
the table.
enough
I
for
think you
one
gave
man
me
to do.
a
That's
great
not
idea for a
enough
new
for one
video.
administration to even do.
Right.
And even
Well-
if there was like the call for like the American Revolution type thing, we're the minority. Liberals and liberal voters are the majority. There's more of them than they are of us. Just look at the voter turnouts. And until that changes, there's no way we can have a revolution because we're outnumbered like 5-1.
But we're better
Hold
armed.
on.
We're not outnumbered 5-1. Maybe outnumbered
At the
1
polls,
1/4
we're
to 1.
outnumbered maybe 3-1. But the
Hold
thing
Not
is,
even that. Seriously, not even that.
I would
Okay.
like to believe that, but the voter turnout numbers prove otherwise.
No, because voters. Okay, you're expecting to use voter turnout as a correlation to the amount of people that are pissed off in the situation and feel that they're not going to stand up and fight. Okay, that's legitimate. That's legitimate. If they can't get off their ass to vote, then they're probably not going to get up and fight.
They got up their ass to set a record buying guns. And that's what you should go by.
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily, because that's one
That's what
guy
I go
buying
by.
5 guns instead of 5 guys buying 1 gun.
Well, that's not necessarily true either. There's a lot of new people out there buying guns too. There's record numbers of people still buying guns for the first time.
Sure.
You can't, I don't think it's going to be a revolution in the sense that we think of in the traditional sense, going back to our revolution. I think it's going to be a legal revolution. I think it's going to happen in the courts. And I think it's going to happen with recall elections and impeachments and things like that first. And if they still don't get it through their head, then it's going to go bad. But we're talking at least, years and years and years down the road.
That's a great idea, but the thing is just look at how the court system has been for like the last 20 years. If you have enough money or enough influence, you buy your way out.
Okay, now here's the thing. Money and influence didn't save Gray Davis here in California. I know I keep using that one, but he attacked them personally by trying to raise vehicle registration up to like double or triple its normal fees. And then we had a recall election, kicked his ass out of office, put Arnie in, and everybody else who's starting to step out of line stopped because they realized, well, fuck, people in California did it, they can do it here too. It's going to take them getting to us to affect us individually in our homes for the people to actually stand up and do this, and that's to take the legal way to do recalls, to do impeachment processes, to go to court, all this stuff. And it's going to be decades upon decades before people are going, look, I'm done with this. This shit ain't working. Let's just get to it.
Heavy, there's none of these 6 laws that got signed in. None of these actually will lead to door-to-door confiscation, right? This is more like laws that change the classification of certain weapons that made ownership of them illegal, so they want the people to come and
No, it doesn't.
voluntarily.
No. It doesn't make the weapons illegal. It gives you the opportunity to register them in what I would consider an illegal list, which is kind of ironic because they already know what guns you have.
California
Can I finish what I'm saying there? I mean, Jesus, man. Okay, I guess I can't finish what I'm saying. I'm sorry, Hawaii. I didn't realize he was talking to you.
Come on.
Well, I don't
finish
really
Heavy.
care. I'm just saying, there is a legal team of law enforcement people who confiscate guns running around in California. That's all. Go ahead.
Come on, Heavy.
I committed the offense of talking on a chat, so.
I don't know. It's just my concern is we're in a situation where there's a state right now where Heavy is currently stuck, and they are passing these laws with the majority of their voter base, so there's support behind it to literally just take the Bill of Rights and just throw it in the trash can. They're splitting the hair into a usable toothbrush, where other states, sensible states with less crime and less issues, just look at them and go, what the hell are you doing, man? You know, you're going about this all the wrong way. Someday, someone is going to tell one of those lemongrass eating, smoothie drinking, easily bruised, millennial douchebags out in California, and they're just going to say, you can pass 1,000 laws, and it's just going to be 1,000 more laws that are going to be broken on Johnny Criminal's rap sheet. Nobody cares about your law.
Yeah, I mean, how many gun control laws are there? Because I was looking at the Old Testament that I have that's like 7 inches thick and it has like 780, laws that Jewish people are supposed to follow. And I know there's got to be like 30 or 40,000 gun control laws in America, and it would make like, 10 Old Testaments stacked on top of each other if you just put them all in a book. If you took all the state laws together,
I just don't get it. Like, my guns don't jump out and attack me, and I've had them for 5 years.
Here's the problem that we have kind of in this country. You have a set of people who are realistic, who look at things logically and objectively, and then you have a set of people that look at things how they want them to be. And the ones who want them to be will create new laws and create new rules, and they don't ever look at like the effects or the downstream parts of it. And that's kind of what the whole liberal mindset is how do we make the world how we want it to be? And they don't realize that if they ever get there, it's going to be anarchy. Like, literally, their dream world is the Soviet Union. It's communism and all this stuff. They don't realize that human nature does not coincide with what they want done. That's the biggest problem we have right now, is this mindset.
Mm-hmm. Social communism is beautiful in theory, but absolutely useless in practice, because absolute power corrupts absolutely. I mean, that's obvious. There's every communistical society in history, it's always been corrupt in some form or fashion, either at the very beginning and during inception, or over time because somebody didn't want to give up the power. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Okay, so...
Wait, let me bring this back around to the guy's original question. The most likely thing to happen is World War III, not an American Civil War, not an American Revolution, because there are so many outside global influences, like Brexit, like ISIS, like the global devaluating of their own markets, things like that. There are too many outside things that happen that are not even in our control that could tumble us into a conflict, whereas the American one is something that we would create amongst ourselves. So World War III is more likely to happen, which is still a long shot.
I'd like to give my opinion on it. I would say that if Trump wins, World War III is more likely, and if Hillary wins, Civil War is more likely.
Damn it! You stole my ending.
You know what? That makes sense, because
exactly
what you're saying is the same thing. You're just putting a leader towards each instance.
I couldn't hear the
Well,
last.
I'm sorry, Sean, that I didn't say it in a way that took 10 minutes.
Excuse me for being elaborate.
I just want to say
the second part, because I heard the part about Trump, but you were just.
I want to hear what Spaggy has to say.
And basically just sum up Nathan. He just said Trump, World War III, Hillary, Civil War. But
I would much rather have World War III over Civil War.
So I'm going to say Civil War, because 5 of us can't sit inside a chat without bitching at each other. So the country being held together, man, I don't know. I think we're going to eat ourselves one of these days.
I mean, our country's been around for, what, 200-something odd years?
240.
A little more than 240?
Not very long.
Not as long as some of the countries here of the world, but the issue is, they want to take some elements of the people here in the United States want to take away from laws and our country's charter, which has been working for 200-something odd years already. They want to fuck with it.
240.
Okay, 240 odd years.
Oh, God, nice.
They want to take that away, and it's been working just fine before they were even a glinter or sparkle in their father's eye. Okay, the law worked, it did its job. They want to take it away, they want to mess with it. No. The answer is no. Don't mess with it. It already works. Don't fix something that's not broke.
But see, it stands in the way of their vision. That's
Well, their vision. Well, see, that's the problem.
Their vision of utopia, their vision of everything being hunky-dory, them turning us into the Starfleet Federation in their minds.
That's the problem. Instead of walking around blind like they are, they need to put bifocals on and see the world as it is.
So we're blaming Star Trek now. It's Gene Roddenberry's fault.
Actually, that's a bad example because they sure do get in a lot of phaser fights in Star Trek. But a lot of liberal and people like that, the trouble they have is they don't see a need for firearms. They see a need for maybe police having them and criminals having them, but not normal people having them, and then to get rid of them altogether at some point. And they want there not to be war and stuff like this. And everything they want is based on the fact that they totally don't see human nature for what it is, that we are imperfect, terrible people. I mean, we're everyone.
Okay, so was Captain Kirk
from the standpoint that everyone is pure and good by nature, which is not true.
So was Captain Kirk a Republican or a Democrat?
Libertarian. Seeker of truth.
Kirk he had to be a Reagan Republican.
No, he was a libertarian, dude. Seeker of truth, looking for the next thing.
I would say he was more of a libertarian on the McAfee side, just because the factor of there had some of those episodes there had to have been some drugs in there somewhere.
It had that green Romulan ale stuff.
He definitely had some Bill Clinton in him. I'll say that.
I did not have relations with that woman.
I did not have relations with that green alien woman.
Right. All right.
When I was a teenager, I really wanted to bang that big green chick.
Yeah, and then you found out she's a slaver, and then it's like, not so much. All right, we got one more last question, and then I got to kill it.
Somebody out there wants to bang a tribble. Let's not kid ourselves.
We're not going there either. All right. What would be a good? This is from the last person, Dana, as well. Wanting to know what a good budget electronic site for a new Colt LE6920.
Like a red dot?
Electronic site. So I guess either a red dot or
What's the budget?
Yeah, they did not
budget
say.
For one person might be expensive for the other, or
They did not say.
One of those cheap EOTechs.
Right.
Level 3 communications was,
I mean, are you looking
Sued
for
by
like
the
sub
government.
MOA at 500 yards, or are you just looking
with
for
a red dot? With a red
You
dot?
see what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah, I know.
there's some people that have some ridiculous requirements for guns.
You also have to figure that some people are asking these questions because they just got into guns and they haven't even gotten that far yet.
I looked at I think it was a Sun Optics or something like that. It was only like $100, and I mean it was one MOA at like 100 yards. I mean it was acceptable. I mean if you want something budget,
I mean,
only $100.
Matt
red
mentioned
dots-
and swears by the Bushnell TR-25, and I've seen
God,
those go
that sucks.
all over the place. I've seen those
I
go
hate
over
it.
the place.
Major parallax issues. You have to just learn a few things about red dots. That's what's basically one reason that EOTech's Level 3 was sued by the government and wound up settling, and was when they had to basically that they claimed that EOTechs were parallax free and they were not. So you have to figure out if that's an issue for you as far as what
The short answer is anything that you are interested in, do your research, look at other people's reviews, find out what your budget is, and see what's acceptable to you based off the reviews, because none of us are going to give you a solid answer. Like
none of us are going to give you the same
I have a
answer.
friend with a Sun optics. He paid like $100 for it. It's good enough for him at 100 yards, but that might not be good enough for you. So I mean, it's really up to you.
Right.
Yeah, what's your application? What are you going to be shooting at? I mean,
I'd love to have an ACOG, but that's a lot of money to shell out. It's just, I'm gonna get one eventually. It's just, it's what I want.
I like what I got, but I'm not going to recommend it because they're almost impossible to even get. So, at this point,
You're gonna have to say it now because people are gonna be like, "What the fuck is it?"
just look at my channel, you'll figure it out. So,
volcano
stuff.
Yeah, I'm just using cheap sites right now. I've got like a Barska, I've got a BSA, and then I've also got
just got a shotgun and you
a
won't get
Firefield Red Dot. So.
Yeah, I have an Israeli.
I got away with that.
I got an Israeli.
No, you didn't. I remember that.
Just paint a little.
I'm sorry, Sean. I heard you mention something about a shotgun, but what exactly did you say?
Oh, I was saying that he was talking about he just settles for cheap optics or whatever, and I was like, it's just because you just got a shotgun and you won't give up fingerprints.
From what I hear, Sean is glad that his parents didn't stay in South Korea, where you can only visit your shotgun during hunting season between the times of 9 and 5.
Ah, no, you see, I only have one parent from South Korea, and she was taken out within a year of me coming along and hatching from my North Korean egg, so we're good.
Working 9 to 5.
I see those Korean glasses. I see them.
My household is, equipped with a Benelli M3, and we're quite happy with it. Thank you.
All right. On that note, I'm gonna end it. If you got more questions, guys, just send it to us, and we'll go over it next week. That's all I can say. Want to thank my panel for showing up.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
I actually have to rush into work now because apparently I just got called in.
Oh, that night shift, though.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, make that money.
There's a spill on aisle 3.
No, I work when they close and lock the doors.
Oh, you're a lock-in. Okay.
I'm a lock-in.
That's not so bad. You don't have to deal with people.
No, I don't.
That's
so
cool.
I gotta go. So I will see you guys later.
Later,
brother.
Man, take it easy.
Give us a musical interlude out.
Yes, Smeggy.
Bye, Felicia.